Quite amazing, my friends. The hospital originated in the cobra-bite poisoning treatment. The word hospital is a pathway to the very origins of human speech. No wonder the snake on a staff remains as the primary symbol for medical systems worldwide. Greetings to you. I am Tom Cherugara, welcoming you to amazing adventures in linguistic archaeology. Archaeological fossils are all around us, and so are linguistic fossils. Our researchers unveiled the mysteries of the hospital and the caduceus, and we are excited in enlightening you with our findings. Let's dive into Eureka in the etymology of hospital. Every word has its meanings and origins. Over 500 years have passed since the origin of the term hospital in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Yet, we do not know where from the word appeared in our vocabulary. The present etymology, as the word rooting from hospice and hospit in Latin, is far from adequate. It lacks the very fundamental morphological explanation as to the roots in the word. The significance and familiarity of the word had prompted us to research into its origins. Let us answer two basic questions. What is the literal definition of hospital? Where and how did the word originate? Hospital is an English Spanish Portuguese word with very similar phonologies in Latin and French as well. The commonality of the term in the three languages points directly to a relatively recent single source borrowing of the word. Given the limited etymological information we have in English and Latin, we turn to other Indo European languages for its morphology and origin. The Indo-Aryan or Indic languages are spoken by nearly a billion people, and the most popular among them is Hindi. The Hindi word for hospital is aspathāl, with its roots derived from its parent language, the Sanskrit. The roots or bases in the word aspathāl have very distinctive origins and meanings that are common to the Egyptian, Arabic, Hebrew, and the Indic and Dravidian languages. The roots in the compound word are as, phat, and al. Each of these roots or base words contribute significantly to the literal definition of hospital. The root as is a word from the prehistoric period which had gone mostly extinct since the antiquity. However, without us realizing it, the root as remains at the core of many words in our daily vocabulary, in English and in many other languages. The roots Path and Al are in common usage in the Indic and Dravidian languages of India. We will discuss these roots in detail a bit later. With the three roots in mind, let us look into the hospital related mythologies from 3000 years ago. We will discuss them only in light of their relevance toward defining hospital. The Greco Roman mythology had created gods out of diseases, treatment, and healing. The Hermes, Asclepius, and Mercury are examples of those. The caduceus is the magic wand that was carried by Hermes, the Greek god of anesthesiology. With the caduceus, the magic staff, Hermes is said to put men to sleep and also awaken others at his pleasure. And this is referenced in both Iliad and Odyssey. In the year 1902, the US Army Medical Corps had adopted the caduceus for its logo. The modern day pictogram of the caduceus involves two serpents entwined on a magic wand or a staff with a pair of wings at the end. Following that, in 1910, the American Medical Association brought in the single snake entwined Asclepius staff for its symbol. Asclepius was the Greek god of healing. Since then, the WHO and many medical associations and systems worldwide have adopted some form of snake on the staff symbol for their logo. However, none of these entities could explain the how and why behind the symbols, except for the mythologies. So it seems that all these symbols refer to the Greek mythologies and the Hebrew Christian theologies. But even these mythological icons do have some relevance and significance, and that is the reason these myth stories were created in the first place. So we are looking for whatever bit of logics hidden behind these snake stories. One of the earliest representations of the snake on the staff as a traditional healing symbol occurred with Moses. The legendary event is supposed to have taken place around 1400 BCE. The story goes like the Israelites were being bitten by venomous snakes and many had died. Following God's instruction, Moses had erected the statue of a brass serpent on a pole. Everyone who had looked at the serpent was healed and saved. However, the textual recording of this story had happened about 1,000 years later only. In a very similar manner, the caduceus mythology may also have had its origin supposedly from around 1000 BCE. And lastly, there is the Asclepius staff logo, which represents the Greco Roman god of healing. The story is also supposed to have originated around the same time period. The commonalities we see in each of these mythologies and symbols are the snake and the staff. In the discussions that follow, we will demonstrate that the snake and the staff will help us break the hospital code. And there is a third element in the caduceus, a pair of wings, and that will help us solve the puzzle. But these hints do not seem to connect directly with the English word. Neither do they help us break the English word into its morphemes. The reason being that the English-Spanish-Portuguese word form hospital is merely an adoption and assimilation of the Hindi word aspathāl. So let us do an etymological breakup of the word hospital via its Hindi source word aspathāl. The roots in aspathāl are asp, pat, and al. There are several variants to each of these roots in Arabic, Hebrew, and various Indic and Dravidian languages. Let us review each of these roots for their meanings in Hindi and its parent language, Sanskrit. First root asp means a cobra, a highly venomous snake belonging to the elapid family. Most dictionaries define the word with some uncertainty. However, the origins and meaning of asp can be conclusively explained both culturally and linguistically. The word aspa had evolved at the origins of human speech and had become mostly extinct in the antiquity. Old Persian person names from the 500 BCE period, such as Prixaspes and Parnaspa, are rooted in the asp. But there is no mention of asp in the Iliad, Odyssey, Bible, or any Vedic literature, and this causes us to believe that the word had become extinct by then. However, the hieroglyphs and seals and sealings from the prehistoric civilizations of 3000 BCE indicate that the word asp had existed in the early Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Harappan periods. Again, there is no evidence of the use of asp as a base word in the Sanskrit language at all. However, here is an amazing fact. The Sanskrit language can provide a clear morphological definition for the word asp. Many modern English words are aspa based, and the root asp remains deeply embedded in the Afro Euro Asiatic linguistics. Words like asphyxia, asparagus, asperity, exasperate, grasp, jasper, and many other words in common usage are all rooted in the asp. The word asp is at the root of the Indo European, the Afro Asiatic, and the Dravidian linguistics, and it remains widely hidden in our daily vocabulary. Historical literature and dictionaries wrongly translate asp as ashwa for horse. It is an invincible fact that aspa and its counterpart naga, meaning snake, belong to the earliest words of the proto language and human speech in Africa. The now extinct Sanskrit language can provide the morphology of these and many other terms to their very phonological origins. A spa means no touch and no touching, and na aga means no coming and no go forward. So much for now on ASP. Next, let us analyze the second root phat. The word phat and its variants fatha, pada, patti, and faith in the Indics, Dravidian, and Arabic, and Old Hebrew, all of them mean the expanded hood of the cobra. The uraeus, an element on the headpiece worn by the pharaohs of Egypt, is an image of the phat. The uraeus has a clear morphology in both Old Hebrew and the Dravidian languages. The word forms pada and pati are in common usage in the Indo-Aryan and Dravidian languages for cobrahood. The Sanskrit English dictionaries define fatha as the expanded hood of the cobra. In addition, the word fat is a root in mustashfat, the Arabic word for hospital. Moreover, the words patan and fatan appear in biblical Hebrew and they are translated as asp, meaning the hooded one. Therefore, we see that the compounding of the two words asp and pat yields the word aspath, which means expanded cobrahood. In the word aspathāl, the aspath component represents a cobra bite and its emergent and swift deadliness. That brings us to the third base word al. Sanskrit dictionaries define al as a house or a dwelling. That again is an early time word of human speech. The root al has variants like alay and alaya. All of them mean a house or a dwelling in both Indic and Dravidian languages. These allomorphs or variant word forms of al are now in common usage in the Indian subcontinent. Above discussions lead us to a logical and distinctive conclusion on the literal meaning and origin of aspathāl based on its roots. The compounding of the three roots yields the phrase cobra hood house. In other words, aspathāl literally means a cobra hood house or a cobra bite healing house. In the ancient, for the most part, a cobra bite used to be an instant death sentence. The snake bitten person had to be brought to the healing practitioner and had to be maintained under close monitoring and therapy toward a stable condition. This type of snake bite poisoning treatment had created the need for a patient stay or an inpatient treatment system. And that brings us to a meaningful origin and an etymological explanation for hospital via the source word aspathāl. Now let us return to the two popular medical symbols, the caduceus and the Asclepius staff. Between the two symbols, the caduceus has a direct relevance to the word hospital that can be easily explained. It is a pictogram, a full and direct representation of the word aspathal. Each root is signified by an element of the symbol. The asp is the snake, while the other two are represented by their synaphones in the Dravidian languages. The phat is represented by the staff, and al is signified by the wings. The pictorial for each root, as phat and al, is combined to form the modern three-element caduceus. Now, these morphological explanations in Hindi lead us to the Dravidian roots of hospital. We have already established that the hospital is a borrowing of aspathal in the source language Hindi. The aspathal, in turn, is a learning of aspathiri from the Dravidian languages. Aspathiri is common to all four languages of southern India, the Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam, each evolving from the Proto-Dravidian language. The Dravidian languages do not belong to the Indo-European family. Having already defined the roots asp and pat, the last root thiri in Dravidian languages means a candle or specifically an oil wick candle. The aspathiri, meaning a cobra hood candle, is the crude and unrefined form of the source word for hospital. Aspathāl in Hindi and other Indo-Aryan languages is a modified assimilation of the aspathiri. The Tamil lexicon defines the thiri as a candle or a torch of twisted cloth. From times prehistoric, from the invention of the candle itself, the thiri had remained a representation of a dwelling place or a house. And we notice that the medical symbols of the Dravidian regions involve the three elements with the thiri as the third element in place of the wings representing the house. The significance of the thiri is that snake bites mostly happened during the dusk and into the night. The theories of the poison treatment houses perhaps stayed burning through the nights. Besides these facts, there are strong archaeological evidences on the existence of traditional poison treatment practices in the Dravidian, extending several millennia back in history. The root theory, along with the word aspathiri, present to us a vivid depiction of the crude origins of hospital as a critical element of human development. Thus, we see that Aspathiri in Dravidian languages literally means a cobra hood candle, which had evolved into a cobra hood house in the Indic languages and finally into the word hospital in English. To validate our definitions and origin of the word, let us refer to the historical and traditional concepts of poisoning treatment in the Dravidian. Also, we will verify that the mythological symbols strongly support our conclusions. Let us review some fundamental aspects and effects of cobra bites and the history of poisoning treatment. Typically, cobras have a venom capacity of around 400 milligrams dry mass, while the lethal venom dose for a person is only 20 milligrams. Generally, about 50% of cobra bites result in lethal levels of venom injection. Upon a bite by a cobra, the neurotoxins quickly and progressively attack the central nervous system, and the cytotoxins break down the cell membranes. These lead to a respiratory paralysis, cardiovascular collapse, and intense cell lysis. These responses explain the body's swift reaction to a cobra bite, and that is where the origin of the word asphyxia comes in. Asphyxia is how and what one feels like when bitten by an asp. The word had originated in the asp, and that story is far more enlightening. Without prompt modern day antivenom administration, there is no escape from a lethal injection cobra bite. However, in the ancient, the snake bitten person was immediately transported to a native poison healer. The practitioner would examine and perform diagnostic testing to identify the type of snake species involved. Once the snake type was identified, he administered the proper treatment modalities to save the person's life. That required constant monitoring till the patient overcame the emergent physical collapse. This explains the inevitable option for the patient to be at the practitioner's treatment house. This must have served as the origin of the patient stay or inpatient treatment system. Traditional treatment systems for other illnesses perhaps did not require the patient to stay at the practitioner's residence. These historical poison removal and treatment practices of the Dravidians in the ancient southern India, particularly in Kerala, must have served as the model for the present day hospital system. In the E-Journal of Indian Medicine, Volume 3, about traditional poison healing system in Kerala, the researchers Yamashita, Brahmadattan and Madhu write about Kochini Tambaran of the royal family of Cochin. If a poisoned person was brought to him, he could be called upon even in the middle of the night. He would immediately come outside and examine and treat the patient. Then, until the patient had returned to health, the patient and those who accompanied him could stay in the palace at the Tampuran's expense. Now that presents the traditional and historical aspects of inpatient treatment in the poison healing systems of the ancient. Now that we have explained the origins of the inpatient care of the hospital system, we will next investigate the medical symbols for hospital, aspathāl, and aspathiri. The picture of the aspa is common to all three symbols. The caduceus involves the snake, the staff, and the wings, which when phonetically combined reads as aspathāl. Many aspathāl logograms used in India picture an al tree in place of the wings. And the aspathiri logo in the Dravidian uses a leaf, branch, and a thiri. All three symbols use pictures of the roots or pictures of their synaphonic words to represent the base words. This practice was common, particularly in the prehistoric and pre-writing periods of language development. Thus, we notice a perfect alignment in the roots, the theme, and the symbols among the three words hospital, aspathāl, and aspathiri. We have presented some strong etymological explanations on the origin and the literal meaning of hospital. Hospital literally means a cobra hood house or a cobra-bite healing house. The hospital is a borrowing of aspathāl in Hindi. The aspathāl, in turn, is a borrowing and assimilation of the Dravidian word aspathiri. The cobras had always remained a deadly threat to the early humans. The word asp, along with the snake, were among the earliest words of human speech. We encourage you to explore words and languages for invaluable treasures in archaeology. We wish you the best in deconstructing the past and to the very origins of our ancestors. The best and namaste.